We are extremely proud to have the Wild Sheep Foundation as our title sponsor. They've been with us for a long time, and registration is now live for the 2025 Sheep Show, January 16th to 18th in Reno, Nevada. Register online today. Friday and Saturday night banquets will be sellouts. If you plan on attending these banquets, I strongly encourage you to register now. Go to wildsheepfoundation.org and don't forget to sign up or renew your less than one club membership. You know all about that event. You can win a once-in-a-lifetime hunt. You can drink as much beer as you can handle, and you're going to have an amazing time. Again, go to wildsheepfoundation.org. I'll be sharing more details in the weeks to come, and we can't wait to return to the Wild Sheep Foundation's legendary Sheep Show in Reno, Nevada. This episode is also brought to you by Zoleo. From now until September 13th, you can save yourself $70 on a new Zoleo satellite communicator. Plus, if you activate by September 27th, you'll also get a free premium 6-month Gaia GPS membership. Go to Zoleo.com, that's Zoleo.com, or find a certified retailer near you. And last but not least, we're very excited to welcome back North Arm Knives. These guys have been with us for many, many years. Their knives have been with us on all of our hunts, in the backcountry, on the lake, and in the kitchen. Get yourself a kick-ass blade today at NorthArmKnives.com. Hey guys, welcome to episode 163. I'm very excited to welcome an old friend of ours to the show, Dusty Portz. He's entering into the woods as a hunter for the very first time at 40 years old. So this is a really cool episode. I really enjoyed this one for a whole bunch of reasons. Lots of connections between Dusty's dad, Jim, and my old man, which most of you guys know about. So yeah, this one meant a lot to me, and hopefully we'll have Dusty back. He was a lot of fun to have on the podcast. I don't want to, overwhelm you guys with ads, but as you heard in the pre-roll here, registration is open for Sheep Show, and I just want to make sure that if you guys are planning on attending, things will sell out very quickly. And one cool thing I did not mention is that you can get full registration for all three banquets on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And if you are a full registrant, you will automatically be entered into a draw to win a Rocky Mountain Bighorn sheep hunt here in British Columbia with Baldy Mountain Outfitters. The drawing will be held during the Friday night Legacy Banquet, and you need to be present to win. So if you're thinking about it, even if you can't attend all three nights, I would recommend doing full registration anyways. All of the details are on the website, wildsheepfoundation.org. Of course, check out Zoleo. They're going to be joining us on all of our hunts. I've been using that for a long time now, and I can very confidently recommend their satellite communicator to you guys, and there's a great deal right now. And very, very excited to welcome back our old friends, North Arm Knives, as a sponsor of the show. We've talked about their blades tons. They're amazing. We've been using them for years, and we can obviously put our stamp of approval on that and recommend them to you. So NorthArmKnives.com. But anyways, that's enough rambling. That's enough ad talk. Let's get into the episode. Sit back, relax, crack an ice cold beer, and enjoy this episode with Dusty Portz.
Hi, I'm Dusty, and I'm an alcoholic.
Dusty, welcome to the show.
Thanks, man. Or is this actually happening?
We're doing it. Yeah, we're rolling, man.
Oh, alrighty.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me, man.
Well, yeah, thanks for lining it up, Garrett.
Anytime, man. That's what I do. Dusty, thanks for coming on the show.
Let's start with a little bit of backstory. Garrett, you and Dusty have known each other since like kindergarten, right?
Yeah. Yeah, we've known each other. Jeez.
First day of kindergarten, I was crying, hanging onto my mom's leg. I didn't want to go. And then I saw Garrett playing in a sandbox, having the time of his life. He didn't give a shit. And then I went and played in the sandbox with him. Boom.
Buddies ever since.
Just like that.
There you go. Yeah, that's a long run.
St. Michael's.
Yeah, don't tell anyone.
What was that? 5 years old. the 35 years we've been friends, man.
Yeah, man, that's a good haul.
That's crazy.
I mean, after tonight, I don't know.
I'm already rethinking it.
Portz, do you remember the first time we met? I had to think about this.
Do you remember it?
I do, yeah.
I can't remember it. Come on.
Asshole. Holy cow.
Our dads took us fishing. I think it was on Arrow Lake.
Okay.
Does this ring a bell at all?
Oh, no, dude, we got so many times together.
Yeah.
I can't remember like the exact.
Yeah, I vaguely remember it, but I think it was Arrow Lake. And then we had like a campfire on the beach after and cooked some hot dogs and we were fucking around. But
sweet.
We would have been like, I don't know, 8 years old, maybe something like that. And then the next thing I thought about was when I can bleep this out if we don't want to share the lake name, but what was it? Lake?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Little fishing trip there too.
Yeah, totally. Well, do you remember the details of it?
I remember a lot of leeches.
Okay, well,
and moose
but
shit.
also me and you, we were our dads were sleeping. Well, sleeping in, it probably wasn't even that late. Me and you woke up and started putting moose shit in a slingshot and slinging it at their tent. It was bouncing off their tent. Boom. And then your dad is like, "What are you doing out there?" Like he's joking around. And then he started singing, like he started going, "Mama moose shit, mama moose shit."
I forgot about that.
And then me and you were slingshotting moose shit everywhere. And we're shooting your 22 down at the lake.
Nice. Yeah. I still got that thing. We took Kelly's boy out this weekend and he shot that thing for the first time. He's 5. Getting him started early.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
That's probably, and I'm not even kidding, that might be the last gun I've ever shot.
Really?
Still.
Holy. And here you are.
I'm actually a pretty good shot with 22, so.
I'm not convinced you'd be a good shot with anything.
That's why he always gives me lots of room to practice. That's why.
As long as you're wearing I don't know, you're supposed to wear glasses, aren't you, Garrett? You got glasses, don't you?
Yeah, I only need those for driving, though.
Well, I can confirm you need those for shooting as well.
Yeah, we'll see. That's why I got the super high power scope on there.
On your 22.
I don't remember scoping. I mean, I can tell you the story right now, Mike, if you want to hear it.
Well, let's get into it. Yeah, we might as well.
Okay, so Garrett took me, Amy.
Oh, this story.
There's another one.
Oh, yeah. All right, let it rip.
Garrett took me, Amy, and Tim out hunting and out the back. And Garrett had a little call, and Tim, little weirdo, was just playing with it, messing around. A little J stroke on the turkey call.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, some Tom, are they called Toms?
Yeah.
Toms showed up. 2, and they're posturing around, and we're like, what are the odds of this? It's crazy. So Garrett's like, yeah, we're gonna get him. And he draws up his gun, and he's at like, let's say 9 o'clock. And he's looking for them. And you can clearly see the turkeys are at 12 o'clock. And so I'm behind him and I take the gun and I repoint it to 12 o'clock. And Garrett he looks at me and goes, yeah, oh yeah. And then he gets down and then it's runs up, starts running towards the turkeys. I stay back. I didn't want to see anything. All of a sudden, yeah. And then me and Tim and Amy go running up. There's this turkey still alive right at Garrett's feet. Loads up the gun, kind of zigzagging, misses the turkey's head, goes, and finally shoots the turkey right in the head. Turkey falls out dead.
Oh man, we gotta fucking edit that out. There's no way. There's no way you put that
No wonder you didn't want to get into hunting.
Yeah.
And anyways, that was a turkey hunt. There were some other fun things that happened in between, but it was a lot of fun. We were just fucking around. And somehow we ended up with a turkey. I couldn't believe it.
I don't remember it like that, man. I remember have you ever seen that movie where Quigley Donouter checks the sand and he hones the wind
puts the scent?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember lining up on it and one shot and I nailed it. And I looked at Dusty and said, that's why you should always practice your caliber. And then Dusty's like, wow, that was awesome. And pretty much.
And I was like, I'll never be that good. So I'm never getting into
pretty much it. And that's what inspired him to get into hunting. End of story. That's it. Done. It's a wrap.
The turkey didn't even bleed. The bullet just went right through it. It slipped into the spirit world.
Done.
It's amazing.
Wow.
There was a lot to be learned after that lesson too, though, man. Them things.
I think that's when I became a vegetarian.
Oh shit! Let's back up a little bit here. Portz, your old man hunted, and
still does.
Still does. Our dads would hunt together quite a bit back in the day. Did you ever go out with him at all, just for the fun of it, just to get out there? Or?
I did. The only thing was, like, I was probably young teens, and I was just wanted to sleep. So we'd get out there and be ready to hunt. My dad would get up at 4 a.m, and I'd be like, no way I'm waking up. And so I would miss the morning hunt, and then we'd go for the afternoon. I'd go just to be with him.
Yeah.
I didn't hold a gun or shoot a gun or anything. I maybe did that a couple times, and then that was it. I just gave up.
Right.
I got into other things.
Yeah, no, it was kind of a similar experience for me because we had the cabin up in the Caribou and stuff, and I would go with my old man, but it just never really clicked for whatever reason. I just like being out there, but I just, got into other shit like you did. So,
but I mean, like you guys always enjoyed going out and hiking. And I mean, you guys still do that. Even when we were younger, Dusty, we were always like, going up mountains and stuff and dirt biking and going on adventures.
Oh, we're in the bush all the time.
Yeah, we were always hanging out. It was just never really hunting at the time.
I think more fishing was like my thing. Just like Mike, me and my dad would go over to Mr. P and Mike's place, and we just go out in the boat and go fishing multiple times a week.
Would you say like
fish the river?
I know for me, man, it was like the catching and doing something constantly was like, all right, this is fun. Especially at a young age where I was like, I need some sort of action here.
Yeah.
Whether you're catching walleye or bass or rainbow, it was just like, all right, this is fun. Where hunting, I was like, it's kind of like you like, okay, what are we doing here? We're hiking. Okay, we're hiking. And then, like you said, you got to get up early. It's like, what's going on?
I don't think I had even a concept of where meat came from or how you got meat or why it even mattered.
Yeah.
So to me, it was like, what's the point of this? I'll just go to the store. My parents will buy the meat. It's not even me buying it.
Yeah.
So you don't even have a concept of working or what matters or where it comes from. It was over my head. And as a teenager, I had other priorities. And so it just never stuck with it.
Yeah, that's a good point, Garrett, because I think like I was never part of a successful hunt. So this is just like, this is kind of fucking boring, just cruising around. But I think maybe if we had gotten a deer or something together, it might have changed a little bit. I always like going out grouse hunting and shit like that. But the deer, the big game stuff just never really clicked. I just didn't get it.
That's actually good you guys mentioned that because the few times that I did end up going with my dad and we got to go to those places, like that really solidified it. But like you guys are saying with the fishing part, yeah, man, I loved fishing when I was younger. I loved catching fish, man. It was awesome.
Yeah,
because there was always something going on, even just fucking casting like nonstop, which was you know enough to keep me hooked.
And we're pretty spoiled with the Columbia River, right? There's quite a few fish in there. Like even the walleye, there's like you're often catching a fish if you're spending some good time out there and using the right things at the right time of day, the right season.
Yeah,
you're probably going to catch a fish, which we're really spoiled with.
So like now, like I mean, we're at the age we are now. We're 40. What kind of I'm curious, Das. What kickstart did you to get? Hey, I want to try this hunting thing out.
Well, I stopped. I was a vegetarian for 6 years, right? You know that, Mike. I don't know if you know. And then
honestly, Dusty, sorry, don't mean to cut you off, but that was probably the skinniest I've ever seen you. Seriously, man.
I'm not saying I was doing it properly.
Well, I was worried.
I was doing it properly.
I was worried about you,
I
man. Know. That's what I'm saying. Like you were like, holy cow! Like it looks like you were training for a marathon running. I
felt really good though. I felt fit. Like I feel like I still had endurance. Like I could do anything. I felt really I felt really fit and really agile, and like I felt like age wasn't even catching up to me. I know I was thin. I wasn't necessarily doing it the best way, but I felt really good.
I thought you told me like you were you didn't have like a ton of energy. I thought you told me that.
I had tons of energy, dude.
No way. Oh, I got that wrong.
Oh yeah, I was really thin. Like I was definitely thin, right?
Yeah.
Like I said,
like when I say thin, like you look fit, like trim.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like you're not. I was also eating really healthy. Like I wasn't just eating margarine on toast. You know what I mean? Like I was eating tons of vegetables, and I was having smoothies every day. Like I was quite strict with it. Like in regards to only healthy food, never ate fast food ever for years.
Yeah.
Didn't eat jujubes from the candy store, ice cream or nothing. But yeah, and then I did that for years. And then like when I was in school, nursing school, I just got super stressed out and like was just losing way too much weight and couldn't sleep. And I was like, the only thing that could keep my calories up was eating meat. And it was it was like a challenging ethical scenario in my head to get over the hump of eating animals again. Cause I'm pretty empathetic, right? Like might sound weird to some people. Like I'm not some floaty hippie dippy type guy, but like I look at my dog just as I do a squirrel in the woods or or a deer. I look at them all with like a valued life. So all of a sudden I was so banged up from school and stressed out and depressed, anxious stuff. I was like, I got to eat something. I started eating chicken and it was like fucked with my brain for a while just because I'd been a vegetarian for so long. I felt like I had it down. And then and then that's what kicked me back into meat. And then that's what's essentially led me to this right now is where I'm at the point where, I've watched all the documentaries on, American, macro farming where they're just pumping out
like
mass produced terrible conditions for animals. I get that. I've watched all of them. I don't need to see any more, but I've got the point in my mind where it's like, I want to go and see what it's like when I have to be responsible for taking a life. Right. And then getting the food from it. Like I said earlier, when we're kids or whatever, or even a lot of our culture, we just go to the grocery store, pull this shit off the side, like go by the butcher, grab a couple wings, whatever. I don't even really think about the animal or what the process is or how it works, about their life. Just the way I would pick a vegetable off the thing. There's no difference. But I've got to the point now where I want to have, ideally, the only meat I eat, I want to be stuff that I've hunted or fished. And that's kind of what's led me in this full kind of circle.
That's awesome, man. I'm on the same wavelength. And Mike, correct me if I'm wrong, but I mean, can you share your vegetarian story?
Yeah. So I've never admitted this on here because I'm afraid that it might backfire on me, but
it's good. Like the fact that Dusty.
Yeah, I can relate. So when I met my girlfriend it was right in the middle of COVID. She's vegetarian. She was. And I was always curious about it. I'm like, just more of like from a experiment kind of standpoint. I'm like, I want to try this and see what it's like. Because I've always felt like you can't have an opinion on something until you've tried it. So I can't shit on a vegetarian if I've never tried being a vegetarian, right? So I tried it and I almost did it for 2 years throughout COVID. I would eat a little bit of wild meat here and there, but I hadn't done much hunting. I didn't have any wild meat in my freezer or anything like that. So I stuck with it for the most part. And like you said, man, I felt like really good for most of it. I actually I was third place in a half marathon. That was like a year into it.
Oh shit.
Yeah. So I was in really good shape, very thin, like you're saying, but felt amazing. And I think a lot of people were actually pretty concerned about my well-being because I was so thin, but I felt really, really good. But it kind of got to a bit of a tipping point where I wasn't feeling that great anymore. And like you said, I don't think I was doing it right. I wasn't taking supplements and shit like that. I was just eating a ton of eggs. That was kind of like my main source of protein. And I don't know if it was stress related or related to being vegetarian, but it got to a point where like my hair was starting to fall out and shit like that. And I was just, I felt like I was kind of falling apart. So I reached my threshold with it and started eating meat again. And, but I've always been very conscious of where my meat comes with. Like, let's say at least 85% of it is stuff that I've hunted. Otherwise it's, wild fish that I'm getting locally here from a fish shop or whatever. But yeah, it was an interesting experiment. I mean, it was a good time to do it through COVID. So,
totally.
But yeah, I mean, there's pros and cons to it for sure, but eventually it just felt like, yeah, it's something that's missing from my diet and I need to start eating meat again. So,
yeah. And I think like me and my dad were talking the other day because I was saying to him, he wouldn't dare ever become a vegetarian ever. Right.
Right.
And I was saying to him, like, I think there's not just one way to be healthy. I think there's a spectrum of ways to be healthy. Some vegetarians are super healthy. They got it down. They're just ripping at life. They're doing well. Some people eat a little bit of meat. They're thriving. Some people eat a ton of meat. They're thriving. I don't think there's one way to be healthy. I think there's a lot of different ways to be healthy and thrive.
Yeah. And I've never eaten a ton of meat, like maybe 3 times a week kind of thing. It's never been like a huge part of my diet. I know some people it's, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. There's meat for everything, but I've never been that way. Garrett's on that one. But I mean, you got to do what feels good for you, right? So, and
for sure,
listen to your body when your fucking hair starts falling out.
Totally, man. Big time.
Yeah.
So then you guys kind of more or less are on the same wavelength in terms of coming out of this thing and then having this, I don't want to say epiphany, but basically coming to this connection with meat, saying, hey, I want to be in control of this. I want to know where it comes from. Mike, maybe kickstart you back into hunting, and then Dusty obviously opened that door up, and then you guys have had your dads who hunted, and now it's like, hey, why don't I give this a go? Am I right or wrong on this? Or
100%.
Yeah. For me, it was this goes a long ways back now, probably like 10 years, but just being more conscious of where my food came from, and I had like a community garden. Started growing shit, and then you kind of like get that pride for the food that you're growing, and that eventually sort of translated into like, I kind of want to know where everything else is coming from, right? And if I'm gonna eat meat, I need to be the one that kills it. It just feels like that's the way it should be, being part of the equation, and so doing that, going through that process, seeing what it feels like, and then deciding if it's something you want to continue doing, and obviously continue doing it. And it was the same thing with pork, man. We, everybody likes bacon. Who doesn't like fucking pork, right? It's amazing.
Dude, I freaking love bacon.
Love it.
So same thing, man. I decided to buy a pig. This was years ago too. And if I couldn't kill the pig, then I wasn't going to eat it, but we did it. And it was amazing.
Did you kill the pig?
Yeah.
You killed the pig yourself?
Did the whole thing, yeah.
Do you mind if I ask how you killed the pig? Like how the process was?
Yeah, sure. I think we shared this on here before, but or maybe we didn't go into too much detail, but I kind of looked into like what the most humane way to do it was. And basically what you do is you take a 22 and you shoot him right between the eyes, and the goal is to hit him in
with the 22, that is.
Yeah. You're like basically shooting him in the brain, and it knocks them unconscious. So you're knocking them out. So while they hit the ground, then you cut their throat, you bleed them out. And this is while they're still unconscious. The blood starts flowing. They'll kind of like come back a little bit and start kicking and shit a little bit. It's not too bad, but I mean, so you bleed them out, and then they're dead within like under a minute, kind of thing. It's very quick, and so they're unconscious. They don't even know what happened.
Yeah, totally.
And then
shit though, but you know what happened.
I know what happened.
You know.
Yeah.
What was that like? What was that like being a part of that?
Well,
that sounds intense.
It is intense, but
I'm gonna say
you kind of have a responsibility to do it right. You only get one chance, and if you fuck it up, then that's not what you want to see, because it can go sideways if you don't do it right, and that's the last thing you want. So you kind of just go into like a bit of like a flow state almost, to just like focus and do this right and do it quickly, and then it's food, man. As soon as it hits the ground, it just becomes food, right? And you start breaking it all down and that. So it's a very interesting experience. It obviously parallels hunting. I mean, it's the exact same thing, more or less. And then your appreciation for that animal because you raised it and killed it. I mean, you're not wasting any of that. Nothing's going in the garbage. If someone's not finishing it, then fuck, I'm eating that even if I'm full. Like, no one's throwing any of this away. This thing means a lot to me. So, yeah.
Yeah, I guess that's there's and the thing I like about my dad, because he's got his status card with Colville, right? Like he's a status card carrying native, so he still uses some traditional things to help with kind of the spiritual side of hunting that I really appreciate. That I feel that that's the only way that'll help me cope with it, with my perspective on animals, because I love animals. I know both you guys do. Well, Mike, I know you do.
No, come on. So do I.
I got another story to tell you about his dogs. Because I was
no,
listening to
don't tell
one of your
that
other
story.
podcasts.
Jeez,
So
Louise.
we'll pause it. But because honestly, I love animals. I see squirrels, I see birds, I see bears, like bears in Roslyn, right? They're like just like wild dogs. They're everywhere. I love them. Darren, my buddy, asked me to go hunt them. I just can't do it. I can't hunt bears. I just have a connect. Like I just feel like they're part of my little community.
Yeah.
So I think one of the ways that I really and I don't mean to do like cultural appropriation or anything, because I'm just learning off my dad. I don't know a lot about the way Indigenous people hunt properly, right? Other than from my dad, is they have high regard for these animals. They look at them as their cousins, as their family, but they still find this balance of knowing and showing respect and hunting them for meat at the same time. They hold that delicate balance, and that's something that I wouldn't be able to do this without holding that balance, because I feel the same. I have the same beliefs as they traditionally do
Yeah.
about animals.
That's cool, man. And I know that your dad's approach to it rubbed off on my dad too. I remember him talking about it, and just having that respect for the animal and the cultural aspect of it, which is cool, man. And we all do that now too. You take a moment to sort of say your thanks and do whatever you want to do, because it's a pretty heavy moment, man. And you
Totally.
you have a lot of respect for that animal.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. I don't, like, all jokes aside, I'm the same way. I have the ultimate respect for these animals. And it's good that you mentioned that, because what your dad shared with Uncle Dale there, and then Mike, your brother-in-law, Kevin, and when we harvest the elk, I've talked about this before, and one of those things you discussed, Dusty, that your dad has done to show his respect. I hope that's the right way of saying it, or that basically what you described with the animal. And we kind of did that with the elk. We put a piece of cedar bough in his mouth to basically, because yeah, like what you're saying, I feel the exact same way too. I'm just not running around blasting everything that moves. Like that's not what I do. That's completely against everything, but I'm super respectful.
And that's an important common misconception or prejudice people have towards hunters.
For sure.
It's automatically that extreme.
Yeah.
That people think most hunters are that extreme, and that there's not much in the middle, right? Just how people are often with these things. But like you said, yeah, my dad puts a cedar bough in whatever animal he's hunted his mouth, and he says to help it into the spirit world, right?
Yeah.
And you know, I just think, what's wrong with that? Like, right on, sweet. Take some, nothing but a moment, and to show your respect, and just like you said, Mikey, with the pig, like, man, then you appreciate every little bit of it, and even Garrett, me and you talking about potentially taking hides and starting to work and make leathers and stuff like that. With it, just to use every little piece,
everything
right?
you possibly can to show your respect for taking the animal's life, like to use everything you can from that harvest. Like you're saying, don't let anything go, like even you too, Mike, not letting anything go to waste. Like, I killed this pig, even if you did raise it like that. So, I mean, that's how I feel towards it.
Yeah. Same. We'll see what happens. I might talk to you guys in a little bit, and I'll be in a halfway house talking about this deer I shot. After
you're talking about your first harvest, eh? Yeah.
So
I'm a vegetarian again. Yeah.
I can't even eat vegetables.
So that's actually a good segue into our next. If you guys don't mind, we can switch gears here. Now that you're into this, you took the core, right? You did the PAL. You had to. What'd you think of that?
I loved it. I thought, I thought it was thorough. It's funny too. Like, I can't believe in certain countries you can just go and buy a gun after everything they taught me.
Yeah.
Like how you have to handle a gun, and just the importance about safety.
Oh, you're like saying, like, in Canada here, we're set up pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, this is awesome. Like, the detail, how into it the teachers were. Like, they're so passionate about it. The PALS teacher just loved guns.
Nice.
Loved them. And he was so fired up to show us the different bullets, show us how to load a gun, show us why this gun's good for that, this gun's good for that. And, it was quite a compact, large amount of education, but that was, I found, very necessary. And very easy to absorb. Obviously, I'll have to look back at stuff and review things. You don't take it all in and remember it for life. You have to keep on looking and reviewing.
Right.
Some guns you'll never touch, so you don't even have to care about them. But like for pals, for instance, but the guy was fired up. And then the other dude for core, super fired up, Hunter, like, and he really pushed home ethics stuff. And he said, he's hunted long enough that he doesn't always just follow when something opens up. Right. When they open up, doe in a certain area where he is, if he's looking around and not seeing a lot of doe, he doesn't take it out. Just because it's open doesn't mean he's shooting it.
Right.
This guy knew his shit though. Like this guy, you could tell he's been doing it for 30, 40 years. Right. And he's like, hey, I've recognized that maybe they've adjusted some things, but I don't feel comfortable still hunting those things. And I was like, yeah, right on, man. These are the solid people. And, all walks of life going into these courses.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Like, there was a vet in there with us. There's doctor. There was, all sorts of people.
There was a doctor in there?
Yeah.
No way.
Oh, yeah, there's a vet. There's a doctor. There's people, missing a couple teeth. Maybe it came from the woods, but.
Whoa, like vet, like a veterinarian or like a war vet?
No, a veterinarian.
Okay.
Veterinarian. Yeah. No, so it was really cool, and everyone chats and says why they're getting into it, and you learn a lot. Obviously, there's a lot more to learn. Like you take pals, but you don't ever shoot a gun.
Yeah.
Right? There's a lot. It's a lot different from, there's a big difference between learning about guns and shooting a gun, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
So,
nice.
Yeah, I loved it.
And then your core, did you do that in a class setting too, or online?
Yep. Core was in a class setting, and I did it with my buddy. Me and Langell.
Oh, nice.
We did the pals, and we did core together, and I love core because it's I love nature, right? So you're just learning about nature and the woods and all that kind of stuff. I was locked right in, man. I loved it.
Nice.
So it was. I mean, if you already have that appreciation for nature, and then you go to these courses, sweet. But thank God I got Garrett, your podcast, Mikey, me and you obviously have to hunt together now.
Yeah, definitely.
Dads. But, and people who are seasoned vets at it that I can learn from, right? Or else I'd be screwed.
Yeah.
Like if all of a sudden I took these courses and I'm starting off just by myself going in the woods, I wouldn't even see any animal for 10 years. Like you gotta lean on the people that know what they're doing, who have done it for years.
Yeah,
and even though I like the woods, I don't know where to go or, all this other stuff.
Yeah. So. I mean, I obviously had a bit of experience as a kid and stuff like that. But when Kelly Molnar and I started, we were basically just going out there on our own, trying to figure it out. It was a bit of a shit show there.
I listened to some of your guys' first ones there. You're up. I don't know if you're by Big White or whatever. I remember hearing your guys where you nicked that deer and you followed the. Oh, sorry, but you followed the blood trail because you're like, shit, we nicked this thing.
Yeah, Kelly.
I remember listening to.
Yeah, I had a bad shot.
I think that was your first.
That was Kelly's.
Maybe your first episode, was it?
One of the first ones. Yeah, I think that happened before we started doing the podcast. So we just figured that was a good story to share. Just let people know that it can happen and that. So you don't want that to happen, obviously, but it can happen. But
it does happen.
Yeah.
So there's no hiding it. It's better to talk about it so people aren't so stigmatized by it, and you can deal with it properly rather than pretend like it never happens.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So then what are you thinking then, Dust, for your, obviously what I'm hearing is you want to go after big game.
Yeah. Yeah. So obviously, my dad's always hunted deer, right? So muley or whitetail.
Yep.
So there's deer, and then Darren Brown, my good buddy there, he's been a huge elk hunter for years and loves it, and has been bugging me for literally a decade. So elk would be another one. Those are the only real ones I'm interested in right now. I mean, I don't even like shooting. That's not true. I don't like shooting grouse, right? Because you don't get much from them or whatever. I did put in for a turkey limited entry in December, and I got, obviously it's 1 for 1 or something, so I got it.
Oh, nice.
Oh, nice.
But I mean, I'm pretty picky with things too, right? Like the turkeys, I know they're invasive, right? From the States, I know they're not normally, and I know some farms in the region that have too many turkeys on their farm that need help getting rid of some of them. So this tag is for that.
Oh, gotcha. That's cool.
So it's just like walleye, like, because I know they're invasive, right? I don't like killing things, but when I know I'm taking away an invasive thing, it's just something about that. It lessens the blow a little bit when you're, for me at least. So yeah, elk and whitetail, because I hear muleys aren't that good. Their meat's not as tasty as whitetail, I hear. I don't know. And I think muleys are more, have been more affected by their numbers have been more affected, if I'm could be mistaken, but
they're everywhere up here.
Well, you're neck of the woods.
Mikey, I remember I actually listened to you because I listened to one of your other ones there about muley deer, how their some of their resting areas and their breeding areas are being affected by the sprawl and Kelowna.
Yeah, big time. Yeah. We've got like a pretty good urban deer population too. And I actually drew a doe tag just outside of Kelowna. It's kind of like right on the edge of city limits. And that's more or less like the purpose of that tag is to kind of like limit some of the, not limit, but reduce some of the numbers because they're kind of out of control. And I mean, the more there are, they just keep creeping into the city, which is more of a growth issue than the deer's problem, but it's kind of a management tool in that sense and good opportunities. So
it's kind of like Grand Forks, like tons of whitetail right in the town. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Piles of them.
Yeah. Dusty, you might like grouse hunting, man. It's one of those things like if you guys are got a hunt camp or you're going out, just having a 22 on the quad or with you, you can actually like sometimes get quite a few of them. Like it's easy to get 4 in a day if it's an area where there's lots and it's fun. If nothing else is going on, and then you can come back to camp and cook them up and have a good meal. You might change your mind on it. I don't know. Maybe not.
I hear you. I think with me, it's as of right now, it's less lives taken, the better. Like if I get a big giant, like if I can go out and shoot a bison or something, sweet, dude. One down, lots of food.
I like you're doing it like the opposite way. Usually people start with small game and they work their way up to the big stuff, but you want to kill the biggest thing out there.
If there was woolly mammoths, you're allowed to hunt. I'd go get a bazooka, hunt a woolly mammoth, have food for years.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I'm at. You know what I mean? But I get it. It's just like, it's just something that
one thing at a time. Yeah.
As I go on this hunting trip or this journey, Garrett will be around. Hopefully you, Mike.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then, and things will change, right?
Yeah.
But so we'll see. I only have 2 guns. I've got this Ithaca 30-06. You know, what's funny is I always thought it was 30-6. It's 30-6.
Yeah, I always thought the same thing too.
Same.
Just for all you rookie hunters out there, 30-06 Ithaca lever action. I've got it, and then the only other gun I have is a 16 gauge shotgun.
Oh yeah, nice.
So turkey gun and
whitetail,
whatever.
30-06. You could shoot damn near anything with 30-06.
Yeah.
That's what you got, isn't it?
Yep. Yeah, I got my old man's gun.
Yeah, it's perfect.
The 30-06. Yeah.
The 30-6.
So you got the turkey hunt plan. What else are you going to get out with your dad? You got any trips planned with him, or you just playing it by ear?
He doesn't go out. Like they don't go out as much. Him and my Uncle Pat still go, but they're kind of winding her down.
Right.
Like they might go for 3 days and it's quad hunting, right? Like they're not hiking around. My Uncle Pat actually had a big jammer when he was hunting. That's when he had his heart attack and he triple bypass while he was hunting out where we hunt.
Right.
I don't know what I'm allowed to say on
it. I wouldn't, but I know where they hunt. Yeah.
Yeah. And had a jammer while he was hunting. And then he had to go get a triple bypass.
Jeez.
He's good. He's good now.
Nice.
Still goes out and hunting.
That's good.
But like, so it's they kind of do like a quad hunt for maybe a few days a year, maybe twice for a few days. And they don't go hiking around in the bush anymore or anything like that, which is, sure, I might go with them, but I want to get into the bush.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I want to push it a bit.
Yeah,
for sure.
So I'll be going with Garrett. I'll be going with Darren, and that's probably it.
Cool.
Yeah. That'll be wicked, man. I can't wait. It's going to be awesome.
We're only, a couple weeks away here.
I know. I can feel even when the temperatures dropped already. I mean, everybody, the guys I work with are all talking like, ooh, feels like hunting season.
Yeah, man.
I'm like, yeah, it's on. Even with the nights getting dark. Oh, yeah. People who hunt, they just get amped up this time of the year. It's like, oh man, it's coming.
As soon as you feel that,
they
cold
just
air.
like get pumped up for it. It's awesome. As soon as the temperature changes and the nights get dark, it's like, oh yeah, it's coming. Here it is.
I think it's something fun. It's something to look forward to. I think, getting out, and I listened to another one of your guys' podcasts, like this podcast with Cal was on there, and Garrett, you guys were going to go moose hunting with Toots and stuff.
Yep.
And he was saying, and it is exactly what I feel, is he's like, number one priority is just having fun with friends 100%. And family, making memories.
Yep.
And then the second one is actually hunting. That's the way I am, man. I just want to, number one priority is hanging out with friends, having a good time, getting into the bush.
Oh, totally. I know, like we've been talking. Yeah.
Is good.
Yeah, man.
We've been discussing like this whole thing around meat and, the process. But again, it's an outing and an adventure. To me, that's the number one hook for me. Is going out there with your buddies, and then the bonus is harvesting and then bringing this food home. Because I always joke on this podcast, if I actually had to like do this and survive off the meat I harvest, I'd be dead because I never shoot anything. So the time I spent out there with, my dad, my father-in-law, Mike, Dusty coming up, and then Kelly and all the guys I have, that's the best part. Yeah. And the adventure you go on, those things are they're the best.
It's an excuse to hang out, and then anything beyond that is just a bonus, man.
Totally.
Don't get me wrong, we do research the living hell to try to harvest something. That is why we're going out there, but having a good time is obviously, like you said, man, that's the best part.
Totally. And yeah, we've all grown up loving nature, so getting out there and actually having a reason to get out there, that's what makes it the best.
Well, it's cool too because like we have so many different ways of experiencing it too. Like we know we talk about like what Toots brought up there. There's so many different ways to tackle hunting depending on what you want to do, and that's why I asked you like what was the animal you seen yourself going after the core, even before going into the core. And there's so many different styles of hunting, and everybody kind of leans to one or the other. Like the wall tent hunt, like that's what Toots, my dad, and them, you got the fireplace that generate the lights and everything. And, it's super cool setting and everything's chill. Then you got the alpine hunt where everything's super lightweight. You backpack into the alpine, you get the vista and all that. Or like boating down a river or floating or something like that, or backpacking in for sheep, or, it's all got a different kind of dynamic. And then everybody's like, oh, I love that, or this thing, not so much, or I love that. Some people love just cruise around on quad, and I'm not going to shit on those people. That's a good time too.
Yeah.
So it's all like this different stuff, and that it's cool. Like you're going to be able to tap into a lot of that.
I want you saying all that shit. I want to do all of it.
And that's not even to mention like horses and hounds and all that other good stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So
there's going to be some good stories from that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Considering I think I've ridden a couple horses. Hey, I rode a horse in Alberta. My girlfriend at the time had. She was like a well-trained rider, and she had this nice horse. She was trying to tell me all the things I should be doing. Totally didn't listen. Just went buck wild on the thing. Just sent the thing for the loop. Giving her. Didn't know what I was doing. Nothing. She was pissed. So there's that time. And then the second time, this isn't a good resume for me giving you, Garrett. Second time was in Guatemala. I pull up. I'm with because I went down there for nursing practicum. I was there with two other student nurses. Their horses were right in front of us, and I said, "Oh, well, we rented 3. Where's mine?" And they were like, "Oh, yours can't be around these ones. Yours is up around the corner."
No.
I go around the corner. There's just all I see is nuts, horse and nuts behind. I'm like, "Oh, this is going to be a gong show." And so the guy's like, "Yeah, it's a good horse, and he can barely speak English." I hop on this thing, starts bucking me right away. As soon as I get a bucking, I'm hanging on for dear life. I go flying off, land on my feet. Couldn't believe it. And I was like, I looked at him. He's like, no, you're good. I'm like, fuck this thing. I called the thing Wild Thing. I was like, I'm not hopping on Wild Thing again. And so he convinced me to go on it again, and it fought me a bit, and it was really uncomfortable. Not a good ride. I said, I'll walk home, buddy. Just show me what this thing can do. And so he just rode the shit out of it. This dude who owned it. But there's only 2 times I've been on horses, so I'm looking forward to the Clydesdales.
Oh yeah. Well, I'm sure after seeing that, Dusty, I mean, you've been around my horses. What do you think in terms of my horses compared to that one? They're pretty mellow, man.
They're super mellow. Yeah. I it's an intimidating beast. I'm not going to lie. They're very, very large.
Oh, they're super intimidating. Yeah. But that wears off.
I like the intensity of it.
Yeah.
Like I like the challenge. I love animals, right? So I like trying to figure this out. I don't know a sniff of what you know about horses, but I know you got to go in there confident, show respect, and then I'll follow your lead. And I can't wait, man. I just like the adventure. I might wear a full face helmet and some football gear, but I'll give her a go.
Even if it is, you kind of have to fake it at first. If you have to fake it till you make it, with the confidence part with the horse. As long as the horse doesn't know that he's higher in the ranks than you'll do all right. And I'll show you there's little tricks in that to it. I mean, we won't geek out on it too hard right now, but I'll definitely set you up as best I can for success. Because ultimately, you want to go out there, you don't want to get busted up, and it's not. Well, you don't want to.
I would hope you don't want to kill me.
No, I don't want to kill me either. Anyway. Like if you're getting killed, I'm getting killed. So, but we want to take these things out and ride around.
Oh, I'm fired up, man. I honestly, it's been a life dream of mine to get into to riding horses and hanging out with horses. I've always wanted to my whole life.
Yeah.
And even the little time I've spent with you with them it's been unreal, and I look forward to it. I can't wait.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome, man. I can't wait too. Mike, obviously you are always welcome.
Yeah, I can't wait too. Yeah, I got to come spend some time back there. It's been a while since I came back.
Yeah. So, I mean, you got all these different things you get to tap into coming at it from a new hunter perspective. And I mean, there's so much me and Mike and Kelly haven't done either too, which is awesome.
Tons. Never ending.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to trying to catch up on all these episodes, because there is a lot of them.
Oh, the Rookie Hunter episodes.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's tons.
I think the one thing too that, sorry, I'm going to quote you on here, Mike, but that connection you made once the animal is dead in front of you, I'm going to go back here. So once the animal's dead in front of you and you start cutting into it, if you can, Mike, talk about that. Like how basically it turned into like food at that point, Because I want to say, Dusty, too, I don't like the killing part either. And I've said this a lot on the podcast. I'm not like bloodthirsty out there trying to just slay stuff.
Yeah. I mean, it's, right after you shoot the animal, it still looks like an animal, obviously, right? So you're looking at it as an animal. It's beautiful. And you have all those things we just talked about. But as soon as you start peeling the hide back, that's when it becomes something totally different. So it's no longer that deer anymore. That's when it becomes food. And the first time that Kelly and I did it, I was kind of nervous about the whole process and what it was going to feel like. And it was actually like, I've said this a million times on here, but it felt like I had done it like 100 times already. So it was like this very like primal experience of like, I know what to do. I know how to break this animal apart. And it just became something totally different. It was pretty wild. And I mean,
which is good for somebody breaking into hunting who's never shot anything before.
Yeah.
Because that part is super intimidating.
Yeah. It just becomes food very quickly. So it's super interesting that way.
Yeah.
Well, even the
we lost you. While you're taking a piss. So I put out, because I knew we were doing this today, I put a thing on Instagram. I don't know if you saw it, Garrett. I said,
I'm going to check it around.
If you, what advice would you give a new hunter? So there was a whole bunch of responses. So I grabbed some of them and copied them. And then I pasted it into AI because I don't want to read them all. So I'll let AI read it. I think you guys are going to be able to hear this. So these are all the tips we got for you today, Dusty.
Be patient and be careful who you take advice from. Time in the field is more important than any gear. Do it for you or don't do it at all. You need to walk further from your truck than you're comfortable with. Get involved with an organization or society like the Wild Sheep Society of BC, Goat Alliance, etc. Be patient. Don't rush it. It'll all happen in due time. Prepare for the worst and hope for the best. Get out and walk, and try to find a mentor. More time out is more knowledge gained. Shoot what you're comfortable with. You don't need fancy gear. You just need a solid mindset and determination. Have fun and don't worry about outside perspectives. Follow the laws and carefully read the regulations. Expect failure. It's the best way to learn. And when you find success, it'll mean that much more. Have a plan if there's an emergency. Remember, search and rescue is free in BC. Move slow and deliberately, and take in all of your surroundings before your next step.
Dude,
Actually, pretty good pieces of advice.
Those were all really good pieces of advice.
Yeah.
I can appreciate all those.
Yeah.
You know, even the one like search and rescue, people, you know, so because I'm an emerge nurse, right?
Yeah.
So I have a different perspective on stuff. Like, you know, I used to be like, if shit's hitting the fan or anything with anything in particular, you know, don't call the cops ever, right? Or don't call the ambulance. Now, as I get older, when I know shit's even at work, I know we need the cops, or whatever, I call the cops. Like, use stuff, use things. It's better to be just like search and rescue. If you're feeling like you're banged up, shit hit the fan, people are going to be in danger, man, call them.
Yeah. I think a lot of people are afraid that they're going to get like a bill for getting like hellied out of there or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
they're totally adamant. I've heard this. They're set on it being completely free because that's what they're worried about.
Right.
Is people not using it because there be fear of having to pay for it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. That's okay. I'll just die. I can't afford this helicopter.
Yeah, fuck it.
No, Matt, don't worry. I'll just die. It's all good. I can't afford
and there's also like ego attached to it, right? Like, oh no, now I have to tell people I needed help.
I'm not a pussy. I can handle it. And he's bleeding out. Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Shot myself again.
Yeah. Or embarrassed, I guess, too. Yeah.
We can start wrapping her up here. Portz, you started sharing a story before we started recording here. And so I think it was one of the first episodes we ever did was a story about how we got into hunting, and it all goes back to my old man passing away, and they had my dad and your dad and all those guys had a tradition of going out to Kootenay Lake and being on the tugboats, and that's where it happened. But I think you got some good stories from that trip, other than the unfortunate day 2. But you were going to share something, so.
Yeah. Do you remember your dad's birthday? Because mine's March 8th, right? I think your dad's was 9th or 7th.
The 9th, yeah.
9th. So I remember because we celebrated your dad's birthday out there on the tugboat, and we had like prime rib and huge dinner, and me and all these old fogies were out there. It was just me and the old dudes.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget. Well, because me and your dad got along. Obviously, everyone got along with your dad, but the guy was fucking hilarious, and he's always joking around. And we were out the back, we're fishing, and it's just me and him were there. Maybe the other dudes, but me and Mr. P were chatting, and he's like, "You know what? I hope I just catch a fucking fish, and it just drags me to the bottom of this lake, and that's the end. That's how I die." And then a day later he passed away.
Yeah,
it was literally crazy. The next day he passed away, and you know, I had tons of great memories with your dad. The guy was just an absolute beauty, and he's my dad's best friend.
Yeah,
my dad, you know, my dad still doesn't have a friend like Mr. P. Never will.
Yeah,
and you know, your dad would just be so pumped. You've got this going on, spreading education, getting right into it.
Yeah.
And now full circle. Now me and you were hanging out again.
Yeah, it's awesome.
And I won't forget that. And I always know how proud your dad would be of all this stuff you're doing here.
Yeah, 100%.
100%.
No, and this episode is totally full circle. It's cool that hunting has brought all 4 of us back together, and we have to make an effort to plan some trips and stuff, man, because that's the whole reason why we do it. Is, you know, if Garrett and I didn't do this podcast, we wouldn't talk to each other as much as we do, and we wouldn't see each other as much as we do, and we always make it a priority to hunt together every year, and I think that's the beauty of it, man. So we definitely got to plan some stuff with you for sure.
Yeah,
I got lots of time. I always make time. I don't have any kids, so
yeah, me neither.
I'm ready to rock and roll.
Perfect.
You don't have any kids that you know of, Dusty.
Yeah. True, but
Right on,
Cool.
man. It's awesome.
Thanks, boys.
Well, thanks a lot for doing this, Dust. It's wicked.
Yeah, man. Come back. You'll have to give us some updates too.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me on here. I appreciate it, boys.
You bet, man. Anytime. There you go. Episode 163. That was a lot of fun. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'm sure you did. Really interesting perspective from somebody who's been a vegetarian for over 6 years. And you got to hear my little secret experiment that I did through COVID and while I was taking a break from the show. Anyways, that was a lot of fun, man. And it just goes to show you anyone can get into this. And we all do it for the very same reason. It's just wanting to know where your food comes from and respecting the food that you eat and feeling good about it, being part of the process. So I really love this episode, and I'm looking forward to having Dusty back at some point. Before we go, Wild Sheep Foundation, their support means the world to us, and it would mean the world to us and them if you became a member of the Wild Sheep Foundation. It's not a lot of money. You get a lot from it. And they do amazing work that not only has a positive impact on sheep, but it has a positive impact on a wide range of critters that share habitat with them. So go to wildsheepfoundation.org, consider becoming a member. And we're looking forward to seeing some of you guys at the Sheep Show in 2025 in Reno, Nevada. More details coming on that. So again, wildsheepfoundation.org. Thank you guys so much for listening, and we'll talk to you soon. Cheers.